Hello and welcome to this Tip of the Week video where I will be giving you a closer look at the features of the 200-70 spark arresting box by Magna-Matic Corporation. This spark arresting box is an addition for our Mag 200 dust collector to help cool and eliminate sparks from getting to the other filters inside of the dust collector. First, let's take a look at the construction. So I have a unit here with the side opened up already, and you can see on the inside of the unit here, the sparks enter through the top and hit this steel plate. They then have to bounce around hitting this other plate, then get drawn through a hole in this plate to hit another circle plate, bounce around through another hole, and then hit a third plate on the bottom before entering the all-steel impeller within the dust collector. After going through the steel impeller, they then go over a metal mesh filter inside of the dust collector, and then lastly go to the MERV 8 filter and the MERV 13 filter where the clean air then exits. The unit is an all-steel construction. The exterior is powder coated. We have 3 inlet options: a 2.5-inch inlet, a 3-inch inlet, and lastly the 4-inch inlet. The 4-inch gives you the greatest airflow at 400 CFM. The inlets can all connect to the top of the spark arresting box. This is the same inlet that you would put on top of the Mag 200 by itself if you did not require the spark arresting box. And also note that when I turn over the bottom of the spark arresting box, it is the same bolting pattern that you can connect an inlet to the bottom. So this spark arresting box can be used a couple different ways. You can have this mounted to the top of the dust collector as we typically show it. And then right behind me here you'll see the Mag 8200 BM belt grinding lawnmower blade sharpener has the spark box attached to its Mag 200. We always recommend the spark box go along with any belt grinder, including our units. So the other way you can have it connected, since I showed you where the inlets went on the top and bottom, is you could put this in line. So if you had some other application where you were ducting further away and you wanted this in line, you could have the in and then the out in line in either ducting or hose. The next way you could do it is, here of course we show it on top of the dust collector at the right before the impeller, where you could also have this right under your belt grinder, and you could have this inlet, or let's say another type of funnel or flange arrangement, and have the sparks initially going into here and then having either ducting or hose coming at the inlet at the bottom and then going to the Mag 200. So it's a very versatile design. Next, we have these catch clamps on the side. When we take these off, we can take the bottom off of the unit. Now the catch clamps are there for 2 reasons. One, so if you have to install this to the Mag 200, you would need this off to access the screws to screw it to the top where the inlet would normally go. The next thing is, this being able to lift off very easily, this makes this unit easy to clean out. If you want to be able to shake out any grit or just clean out or inspect inside of here, it makes very easy access. So here we have the Mag 200, and you can see here this is where the inlet normally gets mounted if you wouldn't require the spark box. And the installation of the spark box again goes in that same pattern as all of the inlets. So it mounts right onto here. And we have another nice video, an installation video that goes through and details the installation of the spark box. So again, in closing, the spark box is great for any application for any type of belt grinder where you've got a heavy spark load and very hot sparks, where you need something to cool and give those sparks time and something to bounce off of to get that heat out of them before they reach any filters. Now, conversely, if your application is very light grinding or light sharpening, where you have a very, very light spark load, the Mag 200 does have an internal spark arresting filter inside already that is okay for those lighter spark applications. So again, a lot of times we see knife makers and other fabrication shops or anybody using a belt grinder being best suited for the spark box or adding that to it. And one thing I didn't mention before too is keep in mind you could have 2 of these or more in your line of ducting. You could have this, as we mentioned before, at the source where the sparks are initially coming in, or you could have it mounted to the dust collector, or you could have it in line. You could also have one of these at the source and one on the dust collector if you were really concerned about your spark load application. And it goes without saying, even though we get the question very often, please note that using a Mag 200, you need to dedicate the unit for a live spark application and not hook this up to a grinder where you might, let's say, grind metal and then grind some wood. We do not want a combustible material being sucked into this unit and then right after draw sparks into it. That is, of course, a fire hazard. So, for example, with Magna-Matic equipment, you would have one dust collector for your sharpener, and then you would get a separate dust collector for your lawnmower blade cleaner, because we don't want dried grass and live sparks going into the same dust collector. They need to be separated and have a dust collector for each source. They should not be shared. I certainly hope that helps you make a decision for what would fit best to your application. I thank you very much for watching, and everything is available at Magna-Matic.com.